thank you for agreeing to come on my channel, because most people either ignore my requests or refuse.
Yeah.
So could you please let my audience know who you are and what you do? And I believe that you're a whistleblower, so
Yeah.
tell us about it.
Yeah, no problem. First of all, thank you for having me on. Really appreciate it. Yes, my name is Ammon Baines. I'm a journalism graduate, graduated in 2025. I'm an independent journalist. I run my own YouTube and website and social media under the brand Baines Agenda. So that's BAINS Agenda. And last year, now it's in 2026 now, but last summer,
Happy
summer
New Year.
2025, Happy New Year. Summer 2025, I blew the whistle after a former Israeli spy tried to recruit me to post on my social media, and they offered me money to do so. And the end result of that kind of what I did was an article on Declassified UK. And since then, I've had a few things in a couple media, and it's an ongoing story. And yeah, I'm open to talk more about it.
Obviously, you're coming from more of a political space. Do you understand how this isn't just about political spaces? This is about entertainment and commentary in general. I would argue that the commentary space is way more influential than political channels, because they're the ones that consistently give out misinformation about crimes and criminals.
No, yeah, it's quite sinister. But it does make it makes sense because I did a journalism degree. And what I kind of figured out was all of the mainstream media is basically owned, not all of it, but a lot of it is owned by billionaires.
No,
So
it
obviously,
is. It is. And I mean, yeah, that's another whole thing we can get into. I was watching some of your videos earlier, and yeah, I know I saw you done one about Rupert Murdoch, and I'm like, it's so funny because I'm at the moment I'm a little bit obsessed with this Epstein files, because it really goes back to Jeffrey Epstein, all of
yeah,
this. And so I was reading Virginia Giuffre's book a couple of months ago, and she talked about him flying her to the TED conference
hmm,
in
okay,
California. And so then I find this article which said that the TED conference used to be called the Millionaires Dinner, and then they rebranded it to the Billionaires Dinner, and it was like a private dinner that they held as a conference over 3 days to discuss the future of how they can make money basically through the
yeah,
tech industry. And guess who was there in 2002? Rupert Murdoch
yeah,
and
exactly.
Jeff Bezos and all these people that now control our lives. So I have this theory that this group of people basically planned this future for us in the early 2000s, and now 26 years later here we are.
I mean, you wouldn't be wrong. I mean, there was like what I was going to say was like the entire mainstream media is not sorry. A lot of the mainstream media, sorry, is owned by billionaires such as Murdoch. Robert Mears, another one, he owns Daily Mail. Paul Marshall owns GB News, Spectator. So they're all compromised to me anyway, because they're not going to let anyone actually tell the truth on their platforms because it's not in their interest. So then I was like, okay, that's bad. So I'm not going to do it. So I chose not to join the mainstream media. Still, I've never done anything for the mainstream media. So I thought I'd just turn to social media. And then, yeah, I came across the AstroTurf thing because of, funnily enough, it's very political. Tommy Robinson. Found out this term from that because there's a guy. I mean, just got my shirt. Loki. He's a guy I really
I
respect.
know him, yeah.
Yeah.
So I used to be
Uh,
really into hip hop when I was younger, by the way.
so he's
But
like kind of
he's so articulate,
yeah.
speaking
So he's
about
like kind of
things.
one of my heroes, and he did a video. I was on Twitter, I was just scrolling, and he's described Tommy Robinson as like an AstroTurf campaign by basically Robert Shillman was a billionaire. He kind of bankrolled him. Obviously, Israel's bankrolled him in a different way.
Mhm.
So basically, the term AstroTurfing, for people who don't know, or I know you know, but just saying, um, it's basically when these these billionaires, usually not necessarily, but powerful people, let's put it in those terms, they want you, the public, to believe that what you see on social media, like the comment, the likes, it's all organic. It's all like people like me and you, right? But it's actually not. It's actually paid for. Like troll farm, like Russian troll farms. That's quite a well-known thing.
Mhm.
Um, and or what they do is they literally pay people like under the table type thing. So people online, there's going to be loads of people online who have got this reputation of being an independent creator, but are actually not. They actually got someone paying them, but they don't tell you that because it's not in their interest, right? So when I was approached, they offered me £50 a week. So there's a what's the word, like a monetary incentive.
I couldn't believe how little that was as well.
Yeah,
Because I'm like,
you know,
£50 a week, that is
yeah,
nothing. And
yeah,
then it's like, but then there's probably for some people that they'll be that desperate that they'll take that.
yeah. Well, I think what we thought. So I worked with a guy called John McAvoy of Declassified UK with this. What we suspect they're doing is they're targeting young people and people's small followings, because they're more likely to accept it, because they're more likely, A, probably to be naive, B, basically £50 a week would mean more to them than like a grown adult, basically. So that's what I suspect they're doing. And yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it's bad, but it doesn't surprise me because I just think, the billionaires in our society have all the power. The government has a lot of power. Obviously, they're not going to allow like normal people to have a voice. That's not. It's never going to happen. They are going to try and shut that down as much as they possibly can, because if we do have a voice, we'll eventually figure out between us who the enemy is, them. So they have to use those tactics. So they've obviously brought out all the mainstream media. Now social media's come. That's kind of made them panic. So now they've brought in things like AstroTurf campaigns, like what happened to me.
You had a
Yeah,
TikTok account.
fine.
How often were you putting out videos? How long had you had it?
So at the time of when I got the DM,
Yeah.
yeah. So at the time, I think I had something around 200 followers, which is nothing
Okay.
on TikTok. At the time, I was posting, I don't know, once every 3 days, something like that. I'd only started at that point. I'd only done it for about 6 months, something like that,
Right.
maybe.
So you were pretty new.
Yeah, pretty new. But I say that. I mean, I did have a few viral videos. I wasn't like a complete nobody.
I
Um,
didn't mean it like that.
no. And yeah, I got a DM from an account called Good News Britain on TikTok. They said, "Would you like to join this like thing to defeat the far right and disinformation on the internet?" And I thought it sounds great. It's kind of, so at the time when I first got a DM, I was actually really excited. I thought this is perfect. This is what I always wanted. I did journalism degree, realized I couldn't join the mainstream media. I was going to do whatever happened. They could,
Mhm.
you know, anything could happen in my life. I'm still going to do this because it's just in my heart. So I turned to social media. Thought, oh, finally, this is what I've been waiting for. Finally, a chance where I can actually get paid to do this, which is what I should be doing, I feel, and actually get to meet people. And obviously, I'm against the far right and disinformation, obviously. So I was actually pretty excited, to be honest, and I thought this is amazing. And then it quickly became quite sinister because I got like a Google Meet invite.
Mhm.
And on the Google Meet, it said Caitlin Otway and Asaf Kaplan. I Google Asaf Kaplan, and this is public information.
Yeah, I
Um,
looked him up earlier.
yeah, and he's a former IDF spy. He used to work for Labour, and then I got on a call.
You said that so casually. It's like, someone from the IDF is working for that government. That should shock people.
I mean, I
Like,
suppose it is. I mean, I've kind of got used to it now because I've been thinking about this
mm,
for 6 months. But no, yeah, it is. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah.
What I heard as well from watching, I don't know if it was watching the Labour Files or maybe I saw another independent report on it, because I do watch some of Declassified. I like, is that the one that's owned by, oh my God, Matt Kennard, is it? Yeah, because he's a really good journalist.
I follow a lot of what he does. Yeah.
Whitney Webb. There's another guy called Chris Hedges. He does really good journalism as well.
Okay.
Like, they are like the three main people that I'm like, I think I can sort of trust these people. They actually seem to do very good research.
The guy who initially exposed Asaf Kaplan, his name is Asa Winstanley. He's a journalist. He works for an organization called the Electronic Intifada. It's like a pro-Palestinian blog. And interestingly, he got his house raided by the Metropolitan Police. I think this is in 2024, I'm going to say. For basically no reason. For no reason. They just raided his house. And then he got, it was all fine in the end, but it's pretty scary.
But I've heard that's happening to a lot of pro-Palestine supporters.
Yeah. And he basically he was the guy who initially revealed the thing about Asaf Kaplan working in Labour. And he's written a book called Weaponizing Anti-Semitism. I've not personally read it, but I'm aware of it. And he basically argues that a big reason why Corbyn lost was because the Israel lobby deliberately smeared him as an anti-Semite. So basically, he could lose the election. That's not my words, to be clear. This is the words of Asa Winstanley.
No, but I mean, if you watch that documentary, it shows how they used tweets of people in the Labour Party to say they were anti-Semitic, because it was leading up to the 2019 election, wasn't it? I didn't understand what was going on back then.
Neither.
I had no clue. I was like, how did he go from being the most popular leader we've ever had? Like, I just remember everyone at Glastonbury chanting his name.
Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Hey. All right, Glastonbury, this is what it's about right now, man.
So what it seems like was they had this one particular guy that acted like a troll, like it was a real person, who started trolling these members of the Labour Party on Twitter.
Labour Party activist Luke Stanger.
Councillor Fitzpatrick's selection has already caused alarm to some in the Jewish community.
It's stirring things up and creating this perception that somehow I'm anti-Semitic. It's really upsetting for me, really, really upsetting.
Stanger contacts an employee of Fitzpatrick's on Facebook.
I have been asked by a moderate councillor in Harrow to help build up a social media dossier on her, which can then be leaked out and will hopefully result in the suspension of her candidacy. She seems a nasty sectarian mouthpiece for the hard left.
I'm one of many women who's been on the receiving end of Luke Stanger's abuse over the years. He started pretty much kind of constantly and relentlessly writing abusive tweets about me. He uses words like crazed, deranged, repellent, rancid, grandma, this kind of language. Now, this isn't the language of political discourse, and nobody could argue that it is. But that's the kind of language that Luke Stanger uses.
Come on, you Spurs! Happy day!
Luke Stanger then became associated with a group called Sussex Friends of Israel. And Luke Stanger would appear with some of the characters from Sussex Friends of Israel, where there were pro-Palestinian stalls or leafleting. Luke Stanger would appear and he would walk around filming.
The author of what I've been looking at by Luke Stanger is another Luke Akehurst.
Luke Akehurst is an influential figure in the Labour Party and now sits on the party's National Executive Committee. He's also a key figure in the pro-Israel lobby, a director of We Believe in Israel.
And people would say stuff like, I was in a Zoom meeting with them and she made an anti-Semitic comment. And then they had no way to defend themselves. So they sort of like weeded out anyone through this method that supported Corbyn to the point where he had no one left in his party to support him. It was a coup, really, when you think about it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not the expert on this particular subject. I just had this happen to me, and I'm kind of in the same position as you. I figured this out all, through other people.
When they asked you when they messaged you on TikTok, had you made the video about Tommy Robinson then?
This is how it went viral on TikTok the first time. This time last year. I think it was January 5th. Basically, at the time, the grooming gang thing was really hotting up in the media. It's still in the media now, but people cast their minds back. It was really hot back then. And I did a little video. I didn't know how. It was completely took me by shock. I just said, look, Tommy Robinson collapsed 2 grooming trials. The guy who actually prosecuted it was Nazir Afzal, who is himself a Muslim. And then that just went crazy.
This is just a reminder, but the man who actually prosecuted grooming gangs was Nazir Afzal, a British Pakistani Muslim, whereas a certain grifter from Luton almost collapsed 2 grooming trials and let them go free.
Well, what's there to say about Robinson? He's not a good person. Let's just put it that way. He's a awful person.
Tommy
and
Robinson.
It's just sad
I don't believe for 1 minute he gives a shit about girls and women.
Yeah, he collapsed 2 grooming trials, but he went to jail for it. He literally went to jail for contempt of court. So he almost, he didn't. We got lucky, but he almost made it so the victims of grooming would have had to do another trial because he was selfish and just wanted to do his own, silly little YouTube thing. And yeah, so it just is, yeah.
I believe that the establishment in this country 100% has promoted and supported Tommy Robinson. I don't care. Like the latest thing that was on that BBC Panorama where they did the undercover film in the Met Police, and the guy was literally saying, this is why I really like Tommy Robinson. And I'm like, he goes around publicly saying the police are against him. I'm like, the police are not against you. There's people in the police that support you. There's people like Piers Morgan let you come on their channel. The BBC lets you come on their shows. Like, if it's same with Farage. If those platforms never gave them a platform, these people wouldn't get to where they are.
Why are you giving him airtime? They are into racist rap. They are. Why are you giving him airtime for? They are. Fuck him. They are. He hates Muslims, but he's in a Muslim country. Where that one at? They are. He's a fucking prick. Don't give him no airtime. You hate Muslims like us. Why are you here? Why are you in this country? You hate Muslims. I'm here under invite, actually. You hate Muslims.
Like for me personally, I was a little creator on TikTok. I'd obviously made a bit of a splash with that video. I don't know. I think they just think, well, like powerful people just think, well, like independent creators who they think have got potential to influence people, right? It's in their interest to control them, because then they can use them as like they can use like charismatic people to push their agendas, right? So with specifically the case of Tommy, it was I imagine just a case that they thought, this guy, he's obviously got the ability to influence people. He's obviously a good speaker, charismatic speaker. He at the time he was doing like street rallies. So if we can use him to push our agenda, great, right? and they've done that, and they've done it pretty successfully. But I just didn't want to do it. I thought I'm independent for a reason, because I don't want to be controlled. I don't want anyone telling me what to do. It doesn't mean, I don't believe in anybody. Of course I believe in people. I believe in Declassified, as I just said. I believe in Loki. I don't think Loki's perfect, by the way. It's another discussion. I think he's got his own flaws, but he's definitely independent, which I respect. I did a live stream with Helena, who's called No Justice MTG.
Did you feel like after you made your disclosures, did you feel like anyone else came forward with anything?
With my Asaf Kaplan thing?
Yeah. You looked him up and you saw that he worked for the IDF.
Yeah. So I went on it was actually a Google Meet, which is a slightly different thing, but yeah,
right, Google
same
Meet,
concept.
sorry.
And it was him. It was definitely him because I saw his face, and it was the same face on the Electronic Intifada and Google Images, whatever. And sorry, excuse me. And yeah, they basically said, we're from the Amplifiers. We are an organization set up to defeat the far right disinformation. Yeah, they offered me £50 a week, like I said. They asked me they said, like, who else do you recommend who we can recruit type thing.
This was the list of talking points they sent.
And did they say how they were going to pay you?
No, because I didn't get that far, I guess.
Right.
So they sent me the statement of work, a non-disclosure agreement, and they sent me, those are the two things, but I never signed anything. I never entered any bank details. So yeah.
It doesn't really matter how many followers or subscribers you have, because what they're doing is they're using AI technology to artificially boost this content and make it go viral. And that's another massive thing that happens in these spaces that people are completely unaware of. So you've got all these TikTok accounts that only repost viral content. They're anonymous. And when you said about Russian troll farms, it's like no one really knows where any of these accounts or these farms are based, but they seem to be all over the world.
Well, there was a recent
definitely
one.
English people and American people that are running these campaigns and then sort of blaming foreign invasion. And I'm like, this is another area where there's a very little understanding.
Our government, they want to control the media, and it's not just Starmer's government, it's the Tory government as well. Any government's going to act like this. They want to control the media as much as they can, for obvious reasons, to stay in power. And now social media has had such a rise, it's against their interests to let it be independent. So they're just going to pay off as many people as they can, use troll farms and stuff.
Yeah, I was asking you, like, if you felt like anyone else had come forward to give you their experiences of astroturfing.
So I gave the story to John McAvoy, Declassified. So he told me that he's been contacted by people who said, yeah, this amplifiers have also contacted me. I don't know their names. No one's come to me personally. I think they've come to John, because it was published under his name, the story, although I was the whistleblower. But I've just been on LinkedIn, because anyone can do this. Is public. I say this on Hannah stream as well. Public journalism. Anyone wants to do it on LinkedIn. 411 who own amplifiers. They're very open about who their employees are. So, for example, this is just one example. I mean, I could keep going if I really wanted to, but this is just one I did on one random day. There's a guy on TikTok with 90,000 followers called Josh Tenner, and he's like a musician. He's a senior executive at 411. I've never seen anyone mention. Yeah, I've never seen anyone mention it. So that's a bit odd.
LGBTQIA+++, and then we included men who dress up like women. And
hating the queer has become so popular. Sometimes I think, why do they always overdo it? Like a straight man scared of a gay guy hitting on him, thinking he'll get treated the same way he treats women. Protect trans kids, they are welcome in the space. Queerness is beautiful no matter what they say. Let's all groove, but we gotta give it up for the tea. We're queer, it's undeniable. Sexy and unstoppable.
I do think there are too many thin pieces on TikTok, but at the same time, there is a massive epidemic of lack of critical thinking skills on the app, right? The amount of people that will respond to a video that is very, like, somewhat, like, complex, but not that really, and they'll reply, it's not that deep, it's not that deep, that's not that deep, bro. Why are you overthinking it for? Oh, fuck off, you just outing yourself as dumb. Like, if you want the memes, if you want the simple videos, the dances, the reaction videos, where it's easy to follow, go there, it's cool. You know, but you can't be outing yourself as fucking dumb. Like,
my name's been in the Telegraph, the Canary, and a New Statesman. Yeah. None of those journalists contacted me, not one of them. So they published my name, they didn't think to contact me, which I thought was a bit weird.
But I felt like that. I'm like, why isn't this such a big story? Especially going back to the Blake Lively thing, like I said, the woman whose crisis PR company was flagged up for having all of these messages, she had employed this technical guy. He's called a fixer, a digital fixer, who was setting up bot accounts, kind of like deleting material they don't want showing, amplifying small, like anyone who's made content that favors them. Obviously he's been denying all of it because they've been deposed now. Like, this is an ongoing legal situation that's been going on for a year, but the court documents are fascinating. But yeah, the fact that she has worked for the Trump organization, she's worked for this guy called Matthew Hiltzig, who currently works for Mr. Beast, one of the biggest influencers to children there is at the moment, who's very involved with the Saudi government right now. She works for Jake and Logan Paul, and like no one gives a shit in the press. I'm like, you don't care about your kids? Did you get any comeback from blowing the whistle?
As in, like, backlash?
Yeah, retaliation.
No, so like John McAvoy, who the journalist who published it, because I gave it to him, he like, because like by law, like by like journalistic law, you have to, if you publish something about someone, you have to give them a chance to comment.
Let them know. Yeah.
So he asked them and they didn't comment, and then for months nothing happened. I was actually quite surprised. I was like, oh, that's kind of nice. You know, if you Google me, you know, all the comments, they're pretty good, to be honest. I don't really get any, I get hate comments, but I just delete them because they're not really, a lot of them are like unhinged.
Yeah, that's the
like,
other thing. There are a lot of unhinged people in these
platforms. But there's nothing serious. The only thing that happened was actually very recently, which was the New Statesman, a journalist called Luke O'Neill. He posted, he did an article. Again, he didn't contact me or John, by the way, which I thought was a bit weird. And he interviewed the owner of 411 called Nick Rutherford. And Rutherford, basically the article was saying, it titled something like, you know, here's a story behind Labour's TikTok influencer campaign type thing. And he cited the declassified article and me. And he put all his questions to Nick. And it was basically saying, you know, this person's paid, and it's basically Nick Rutherford defending himself. But he put one line in which was a bit sneaky. He said, like the journalist Luke O'Neill put to him about Asaf Kaplan, and he said something along the lines of, the people critical of Asaf Kaplan are far left conspiracy theorists. So that's the first and only like jab I've had that wasn't directly at me, but it was like indirectly implying that people critical of Kaplan, which includes me, are like far left conspiracy theorists. With this particular story, I didn't get any hate, no, because it was just a statement of facts. Like everything I've posted about it that are classified, you cannot pick a hole in it. Every single statement is a fact. I've never slagged Kaplan off. I've never called him. I've never been on Twitter and like said, no, I've never sworn at anyone. Like everything is a fact. So I've actually not had hate for this particular story, no, which I thought was quite surprising. So yeah, it's all actually been pretty good, to be honest. And like no one helped me. Like BBC, IT, like none of them had any interest. No one answered my emails. My lecturers didn't care. So, and then, you know, I get this Asaf Kaplan thing falls into my lap. I actually contacted, this is funny, I contacted The Guardian. I got the name of a specific reporter. They could have had this story if they wanted. For some reason, they didn't take it. You know, you tell me why. But then
they're owned by OpenAI?
Possibly.
They are.
And John McAvoy got back to me, and he DM'd me like have a good Christmas and have a good New Year.
Aww.
So I've got zero political connections. I don't know any politician. My mum and my parents, my family have nothing to do with politics. So I'm a true like ordinary person when it comes to politics, right?
Yeah.
So anyone who kind of talks to me, I implicitly trust them because I know they're willing to talk to a quote unquote ordinary, you know what I'm trying to say? So
yeah, no agenda.
Yeah. Yeah, I've really enjoyed talking to you. It's been good.
Oh no, sorry if I'm a bit too much.
That's all right.
Can you tell everyone where the best place to find you is?
Yeah, so my brand on everything, YouTube, Instagram, etc., TikTok's my biggest, is Baines Agenda. So that's BAINS Agenda. I've also got my own website, thebainesagenda.com. I've got a few political opinion blogs, and you could see if you click on the link called Bylines, it shows every place where I've been in the media, in outside of my own stuff. Cool. All right. I'll be talking to you.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Bye.